right, so we have reflections. You need a line, right? You have to have a line. If I have a little house, I have to have a line to reflect that house over, and it'll reflect something like that. If I do a translation, what do I need to have to be able to do a translation? What do I need to have to do a translation? A vector. You got to tell me where am I going and what direction and how long, how far and what direction am I going to go? So for a rotation, I need to have a point. We always rotate around a point, okay? So if I have my little house and I want to rotate around that point, I lost my piece of plastic, there it is. So if I want to rotate around a point.
Mrs. Barlow tries hard.
Okay, Braddock, please be nice.
But you did try hard to find it.
Braddock, yeah, but that's not really a very nice thing to say all the time. So please stop. All right, so if I want to rotate it around a point, I hold it on this point, and I just rotate like that, and it ends up where it ends up. So I can rotate it like that, and then I have to reach underneath, just like I did the other day, and I make my little house, and I rotated it around a point, okay? Now let's talk about direction, okay? If I rotate it this way, so it's clockwise, I'm going to rotate it a certain number of degrees. This was rotated about 90 degrees, right?
Ish.
But what if I rotate it this way? 90 degrees. How do I tell you which way I'm going? Which 90 degrees am I using?
Counterclockwise 90 degrees.
But you just say like left ways 90 degrees?
Left ways 90 degrees. That's one way I could do it. What do you think, Ethan? If we assign one of them to be positive and one of them to be negative, then that tells us direction immediately. If I have a number line and I say go 5 away from 0, well, that's great, but is it this 5 or is it this 5?
Be that far to the left.
What, I want 5 away from 0. How do I tell you where we're going to end up? But if I say, hey, go to -5, -5's right there. Or if I say go to +5, +5's right there. And then you know where to go, right? So which 90 degrees? Ethan's exactly right. I've got to give you a direction. Now, here's where it gets tricky. And I acknowledge that it's tricky because for me, it's counterintuitive. Do you guys know what counterintuitive means? Intuitive means my gut tells me it's going to be one way. Counterintuitive means my gut tells me it's going to be one way, but it's actually a different way. Which way do you think is going to be positive? Going to the right or to the left?
Right.
You think it's going to be positive, right? You think that clockwise is going to be positive. Guess what?
It is.
It is not. Counterclockwise is positive and clockwise is negative. The reason why we're predicting and going to the future here, there's going to come a time when you're doing trigonometry that you're going to have a unit circle, and this is 0 degrees, this is 90 degrees, this is 180 degrees, and you go this direction through the unit circle until you get back to 360 degrees. That's why this is positive. If I go this way on the unit circle, then it's negative, okay? We're not doing that yet. You're not going to do that. Trig will probably be, if you're a 7th grader, it will be your junior year of high school. If you're an 8th grader, it'll be your senior year in high school. So you have a minute or two till you're doing this, but we're kind of setting the foundation right now that counterclockwise is positive, clockwise is negative. Now, am I going to give you a lot of rotate it 90 degrees about this point? I'm not going to give you a lot of that. I'm just going to say rotate it a positive number of degrees. How do you show me that you rotated it a positive number of degrees? How do you tell me that? What do you think, Katana?
Oh, this way.
Because Because here's the deal. How many of you know the phrase 2 wrongs don't make a right? Well, 2 wrongs don't make a right, but 3 lefts do. If I can either turn right, or I can go left, left,
Lay it.
left, and I end up in the same place. So if I have my house, and I want my house to end up over here, do I rotate it this way that far, or do I rotate it this way that far?
It could be either.
It could be either, so how do I know which one you did?
Just chill.
Do I have to just read your mind and go, oh, they did it right?
No, put a
Say it loud, Isaiah!
Put arrows on the line.
Put arrows on the line to tell me which direction you went. And then I'll know which direction you went. Because if I just say, hey, rotate this a negative number of degrees, you're going to be like, all right, I'm going to rotate it that way. Could you rotate it all the way back to almost the beginning?
Uh-huh.
Am I going to stop you?
No.
Nope. But I need to know which direction you went, okay? So let's look though. I'm going to rotate a triangle. Okay, so if I rotate a triangle around this point, and we always name the point. We name the point that we're reflecting over L, and we name the point that we name the line that we're reflecting over L, and we name the point that we're rotating around O, okay? So if I rotate this triangle, let's say that this is probably 35 degrees, and this is probably, I don't know, 115 degrees, okay? And I'm rotating around this point O. I rotate it, I just hold my finger there and I let it rotate. Did I rotate that at positive degrees or negative degrees? Positive, because I went left. I could have rotated it a negative number of degrees, okay? Oh, I forgot to draw my triangle though. It would be helpful if I drew my triangle. Right? Don't forget to, I drew the angles, but then I didn't draw the triangle. So, and then I rotate it, and then I draw it again. Okay, so this is A, B, C. We knew that C is 115 degrees, B is 35 degrees. What do I label this right here? Say it loud, Isaiah.
C.
C what?
Prime.
Prime. It's been moved, so it's C prime. What do I label this one right here? A prime and B prime. So if C was 115 degrees, how big is C prime? I'm going to use a popsicle stick. If C was 115 degrees, then Jacob, how big is C prime? C was 115. How big is C prime? 115. Because it's a rigid transformation.
Wait.
And the angle doesn't change. Yes, Braddock.
Wouldn't it be 115 degrees prime?
It would not be 150 degrees prime. The name is prime, but the measurement is the same. The measurement's just a measurement, just a measurement. That is an excellent thing to bring up. Thank you for that. All right, so A, if B was 35 degrees, Marcel, how big is B prime going to be?
Goes the first one.
B's 35 degrees, so how big is B prime?
That'd be 35.
35 degrees. If segment AB is 10 centimeters, A prime, B prime is gonna be,
Half prime.
Alyssa, how big is it gonna be?
10 centimeters.
10 centimeters. Why?
Because it's 10 centimeters.
Why, Ethan?
It's the same shape.
Because rotation is a rigid transformation. Okay, it's the same shape, it's the same size, because rotation is a rigid transformation, which makes sense. Like if I have a protractor here and I just spin it around, does it change shape?
Bigified it.
No.
Actually,
If I
yes, it
move it
does.
around, does it change shape?
Actually, yes, it does.
It does not. It doesn't change shape if I move it around.
The atoms move.
If I reflect it, does it change shape?
Yeah.
No, when we do these things, these rigid transformations, the original thing stays the same size. Rotation is a great way if you, well, how many of you have ever rotated a picture on your on a document or anything that you've been making. Braddock, yes,
I have.
you have. So the computer programmer who programmed that program needed to understand rotation to be able to tell the computer when you click, you have your picture, like you have your little, like a little star right there. You have a little thing up there, and then it rotates it. Usually when we rotate it around an axis through the center. Can O be in the center? O can be in the center, and you can rotate through the center, or you can rotate around a thing. Usually, for our purposes, if I have like a little house or whatever, the O will be over here, and you'll rotate around that. Make sure you wash your hands, sweetie, okay? All right. Do you guys want me to see me rotate any other things?
Could do the first two problems on this together.
We're gonna do the first two problems on that. Would you mind grabbing me one? Abram? Or Carson, you're headed over there. Could you grab me one so I can see the first two problems? Without having to steal one from somebody? Carson's got me. Thanks, bud. All right. So we've got a vector here. We have O and we have P. It says, the language, guys, the language on this gets challenging. Let there be a rotation of d degrees around 0. So let's translate that into English. What does that mean in English? You're going to rotate something around 0. I kind of think of it like a king, right? So you've got a king, and he's sitting on his throne. Let there be a rotation. And who's going to make that rotation happen?
His servant.
And who are his servants?
Me.
You guys are the king's servants. So the king is like, let there be a rotation around O. And you're like, yes, my lord. How about I make a rotation around O? And then we're going to get more details. Tell me the details about this rotation. Let P be a point other than O. So here's P. Select D so that D is greater than 0. So our D, which direction are we rotating? Positive or negative?
Negative.
It's greater than 0.
Positive.
Positive than 0. Positive degrees. Find P prime. So basically what this is saying, taking a whole lot of words to saying, hey, take this little point here, rotate it around 0, a positive number of degrees. That's it. I really don't know why we have this vector drawn here. It just complicates matters. But it's there, and I can't erase it. So,
Well, technically you could if you
I can't erase it on a drawing. I mean,
Are we gonna use protractors?
No, we're not going to use protractors. You don't have to measure. It just has to be a positive number of degrees. So there's O. There's P. I'm going to rotate. So which direction am I going to go? Left, counterclockwise. How far around am I going to go?
about 90 degrees.
However the heck far I feel like going.
Like 360
I
degrees.
feel like going that far, okay? And then I make my little dot. What do I call my new dot that was just rotated?
P prime.
P prime. And how is Mrs. Barlow going to know which direction I went?
Negative.
I'm going to tell Mrs. Barlow what direction I went by
Tell.
doing that.
But tell's not in here.
Nope, tell meaning a verb, not tell meaning the person.
Oh.
Okay,
Now you
I'm
make the
gonna-
person tell.
Braddock, please don't. I'm going to tell Mrs. Barlow the direction that I went. And then, what do?
Tell.
You're
Did
done.
you say that?
I don't even need to circle it and move on with my life because that's all that there is. But I do move on with my life. So let's look at number 2.
That-
Let there be a rotation of d degrees around center 0. So we're all the king's servants, and we're going to make this rotation happen. Okay, Mr. Kingman. Let P be a point other than 0. So we have 0, and we have P, and P is a point that is not, I keep saying 0, but it's O. Let P be a point other than O. Select D so that D is less than 0. Yes, Braddock.
I see why you're saying 0 because
Because it looks like a 0.
Because the letter O is in there.
Yeah, it looks like a 0. They look the same.
0.
So D is less than 0, so D is negative. Which direction do I go?
You go this way.
Exactly.
I go this way now, okay? So I have, let me erase my other one. I have P, I have O, I'm going this, I'm gonna make my P. I'm going this way now, and I only feel like going that far. So I make my dot and I make it P, and what do I call it?
Prime.
P prime. And how do I know, grading your papers, which direction you went?
Yes.
You know, I'm not gonna guess. You need to tell me that you went a negative direction. So I just draw myself an arrow. I went that way, Mrs. Barlow. Could you have gone, if you look, my two P's and P primes are in almost the same spot. This one, I went left. I went the positive degrees to get around to it. This time I went negative degrees to get around to it. So you need to tell me how you got there. Okay, that part is important. Abram, did that clear that up for you? The language is challenging, but just pretend that there's a king on a throne making a decree, and then you are the one making that decree happen. So like if you look at problem number 2, problem number 5, let AB be a segment of length 4 units, and let CDE be an angle of size 45 degrees. Let there be a rotation by D degrees.
Can I please get Ashlyn Ingram to check out?
No, we need her here. About 0. So what they're saying is, translate that into English, we've got a line segment, and it's 4 units, and we've got an angle, and it's 45 degrees, and rotate those about 0, where D is less than 0, so the degrees, you're going to multiply it, and negative degrees, you're going to multiply it that way, right? And then find the images of the figures, label them appropriately, and then you're going to answer the questions. What's the length? What's the angle? And that kind of stuff, okay? So don't let the language get you down. Any more questions? Okay, I think we're good.